Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webcast, FM Rising Profiles and Outstanding Facility Management. I'm Dave Lubach, the Executive Editor for the Facility Market, and I'm also here with Associate Editor McKenna Morales. Today, we're honoring the 2023 Facility Champions Award winners. We recognized 8 facility champions this year, and we're excited to have 3 of the winners here with us today. Let me introduce today's panel. First, we have Chris Bick, the Director of Operations at Watchung Hills Regional High School in Warren, New Jersey. We also have Steve Smith, the Director of Facilities at Clements University Hospital on the UT Southwestern Medical Center in Dallas. And finally, we have Leo Bobadilla, the Vice President and Chief of Facilities Management and Operations Officer at Miami-Dade College in Florida. So in this webcast, we will be speaking with our panel about some of the issues they face in facility management today and how they address them, and talk a little bit about their careers as also. And we also encourage you to submit your questions through this hour for our panelists. And with that, I'll hand the baton over to McKenna, who will get the conversation underway.
Hey everyone, like Dave just said, my name is McKenna Morales and I'm an editor with the Facilities Group. I'm joined by these 3 great men. If we can do like a silent round of applause for them. They are our facilities champions this year. But before we get started with the questions, I would just like to go around and learn a little bit more about you guys. So Steve, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Steve Smith. I live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, and I'm currently the Director of Facilities for the Clements University Hospital, which is an academic research hospital here in Dallas. So my career started in the military. I spent 8 years in the military, 8 years kind of in the civilian world in the controls industry, and then I transitioned to healthcare, and I've been here for the last 15 years. And it's truly a rewarding job that I enjoy every day.
That's great to hear. And then Leo, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you, Dave and McKenna, for this invitation. So I have been in the industry for 25 plus years with experience in planning, negotiating, overseeing large, complex, multifaceted capital building programs and business operations. I've worked in that time in K-12, higher ed, local government, and private industry. I've seen operating budgets of over 240 million and capital building programs collectively totaling over 6.5 billion. And in that time, I've held roles such as Chief Facilities Officer, Chief Operating Officer, and Chief Business Officer. Currently, I serve, as was mentioned, as the VP for Chief Facilities Management and Operations for Miami-Dade College. Miami-Dade College is one of the largest colleges in the country. We have 8 main campuses across South Florida and a little over 8 million square feet. And we currently have a capital program underway that's slightly over $600 million. So that's currently what I'm working on. A little background about me and some of my certifications. I am LEED certified, PMP, accredited learning environmental planner, and a certified educational facilities professional as well. Thank you, McKenna.
No problem. Thanks for being here with us, Leo. And then Chris, can you please tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Chris Bick. I've been in the construction industry for the last 25 years, both residential and commercial. Then I came to the high school, which I've been at for 22 years. I've been the Director of Operations for the last 6. I oversee a high school with a population of about 3,000 people at any given time, where we are open 24/7. 7 days a week, between sporting events. We rent our facility. We are a high school facility. I manage about 400,000 square feet on 36 acres. So we've done a lot of capital projects here. I have a yearly budget of about 47 million. And we just try and keep improving the school with different technologies and energy saving steps.
Wow. 3,000 is a huge school.
Well, our enrollment's going down a little bit, but that's kind of nice, but it's going to spike back up.
Well, I'll just tell you that's larger than the town that my husband is from. So your school just squashes his little village. Before I just want to remind all the viewers today, if you do have any questions for our panelists, you can just type it in the little Q&A section and we'll make sure to ask them. But the first question that I have for you guys is, how have you brought your whole self to your career? And what are some other skills or disciplines, or even some of like your hobbies, have helped serve you well to get you started? I don't know, Chris, how about you go?
Well, I think the biggest skill is patience. And there's been a huge learning curve coming from private world to a public sector. There's different bid laws, there's different rules, especially in New Jersey. It's taxpayer money. I guess one of my biggest secrets to success is instead of giving orders, asking questions. It gives my staff it makes them take ownership and stuff. And I don't like to give orders, because if I have to give orders, I don't need to. So if I ask you questions, hey guys, what are we planning on doing today? Well, we plan on fixing the lighting. Okay, well, how are we doing that? We have all the materials, and then they take it and go from there. It's just a more positive way of doing things. That's how I've done it.
I love that. Steve, it looks like you had something to say too.
No, totally agree. I pulled from my first job as in the military, where leadership, understanding people, you've got people coming from diverse backgrounds, and how to listen to what those people are bringing to your team, what ideas they have, and employing them, and just putting them out there, giving them some direction, and let them go. And that's what makes facility directors successful, is surrounding yourself with good quality people who are in the same mission you are, to make everything better every day. So I draw on my military timeline, whether it be the leadership or mission goals, and accomplishing those.
What about you, Leo?
Yeah, what I would just add, in addition to what my colleagues have already said, is I think you need to continue to be curious in this business. You have to have a willingness to take calculated risks, to try something different, especially where more of the same is not the answer. You have to know you're going to make mistakes along the way. And so it's important to learn from those mistakes, get back up, and keep moving forward.
Mm-hmm. I think it would be fail to miss that Veterans Day is this weekend. So happy Veterans Day, Steve.
Thank you.
Why, based on your experience in the military, why do you think more facilities are looking to hire veterans?
It comes from the background. We hire a lot of folks out of the Navy because they understand how to run plants, either on ship or in different parts of the military. And so we find a lot of folks who can run plant operators, who can run boilers, who understand how mechanical things work, and it translates very well into how facilities operate. So a lot of it's the trade background, and then they also understand being part of a team, accomplishing different objectives. We actively have a goal to recruit about 20% of military across our entire hospital organization. That's just not in facilities, but in all the other clinical roles in a hospital setting. So it's a very good feeder program for facility folks and facility managers.
Very cool. And then Chris and Leo, I liked what you guys said because it kind of related to one another about being curious and then asking people questions, because you always keep the mind wondering a little bit. But either of you want to like expand on what you said?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I don't micromanage. It's just, and I agree with Leo. Being curious, pushing the envelope every day, trying to find new ways of doing it. Just because one of the things I hate hearing is, well, we've done it this way in the past. Doesn't make it right or wrong, but why not be open to something else? So, and I think, at least in our industry, and I'm sure these guys will agree with me, there's other guys that had these same problems. You're not in this alone. So one of my key things is networking. In New Jersey, we have a Buildings and Grounds Association, and you bounce problems off each other. Hey, I'm having a problem with this unit. What do you do? Can you jump it out? Can you try and think out of the box, which has been pretty cool. So it's just like Leo said, being curious, networking, asking people questions, not micromanaging. That's the way to do it. That's the way to survive and actually to rise up, I think, and make a better industry for everybody.
Right.
I agree with a lot of what Chris said, particularly the not micromanaging. I think if you find yourself micromanaging your people and your teams, then you may have the wrong individual or individuals in the wrong seat on the bus. And so
agree.
that really needs to be addressed. So I think it's more important as leaders, we spend our time really when we have a role that is open, finding the right person, spending time, whether it's interviewing, second interviews, calling references, doing everything you can to make sure that that person you're considering putting in that role is the right person for the organization and for the role that you're hiring them into, and also that there's a good culture fit. And I think that's important in this work. And if you do that, then you shouldn't have to micromanage. You should allow the people you've hired to do the job they were hired to do. Otherwise, something is wrong if you're having to do that job as well.
Hmm. I also think a part of micromanagement is control issues. So how do you gain that trust with your staff, especially if they're younger or newer to facilities?
So I would say that obviously micromanaging is what we shouldn't be doing, but we should always be there to coach and provide guidance. And so especially when you mention newer staff into the industry, they require more coaching than someone who's been in the industry 20 plus years. And so you do have to understand that and make yourself available to help them grow and know that, again, they're going to make mistakes, and set an atmosphere where it's okay to make mistakes. We have to learn from them and then keep moving forward, because the worst thing you can do is have an atmosphere where people aren't willing to take some calculated risk with the available information they have, or the best available information they have, in order to make the best decision for the organization.
Mhm.
I agree with Leo. If my guys don't make mistakes, they're not learning, and mistakes aren't a bad thing. I'd rather have a guy try and fix something instead of saying, well, it's broken, we need to call somebody in. So that's kind of like a learning process. You know what I mean? And it's like Leo says, if it's not a good fit, after you kind of kick them out of the nest, well, maybe they need to fly south, and not be at the facility. But another thing we do is we cross train. I don't really rely on titles. I mean, I do have people in house that are plumbers or electric or carpenters or something like that, but everybody's got to be able to do everything. We're all painted with the same brush, and that's what's important.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, challenge, and empower. And that's how I handle that, is I listen to everybody and provide their feedback, whether they've been here that 40 years or whether they're brand new. I challenge them to improve and to make recommendations and changes and not do it the way we've always done it before. And then I empower them to do something. And like Leo and Chris have both said, mistakes happen, you just learn from it. And Leo, you stole that from a book about putting people on the right bus. I use that all the time. Getting people in the right seat on the bus. I like it.
I may have done that unintentionally. You can see I've got a few books behind me. So
I read that book. I don't
Yeah,
remember
on the
which one it
shelf.
was. It was either Good to Great or one of those books, but it's in there. Get the right people on the right seat on the right bus. And that
Yep,
is
I've read that one. Yes.
So all three of you mentioned how you're willing to take suggestions about how to improve the job a little bit. What's the type of format that you open? Would you rather people just come up to you, or is that like an email thing or a suggestion box? How do you welcome that type of environment?
I have meetings with my staff all the time. I like to do it in person. I like to hear their voices. I like to see their inflections. I like to challenge them with, normally it comes with a problem, and then instead of telling them the solution, you go let them figure the solution. So my take is meet with the staff regularly and have those discussions.
All right.
Yeah, same here. I have meetings with the team regularly. We have a core group of project managers, and they meet weekly. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. And they meet weekly, and so I'll join that meeting. We have our maintenance team that has their own meeting, typically every other week, so I'll join that meeting as well. They know how to get a hold of me via phone, come to my office, call me on my cell phone. And so I think I'm pretty accessible to the team, and I think I've communicated that to them. Email is fine too, but what I tell folks is, email can sometimes be a little impersonal. So if it's more of a conversation we need to have, then we probably need to meet to have that conversation and not have 10 emails flying back and forth.
Well, I'm the most unorthodox one here because I do all of the above. I have informal meetings, I have formal meetings, I have daily meetings, sometimes hourly meetings with my teaching staff. They have a work order system that they need to do. Some of them don't grasp it, some of them do. When somebody sees me in the hallway, send me a work order, send me an email, and then I can shoot that out to my guys. Communication for me is key. And I have a small staff. I mean, I've got my 10 maintenance guys, I've got 15 cleaning staff, and I've got about 25 kitchen staff. So it's not uncommon for me to make my rounds, walk in the morning in the kitchen, say hello to everybody, see them in the hallway. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? Hey, the place is looking great. You need anything? And like I said, it goes back to the whole question. Then, how you doing? You look like you're struggling here. What's the big deal? Let me know. Let me help. I'm no better than my guys. We plow snow together. We fix pumps together. I can't tell you how many shirts I brought home to my wife that says, I'm not even bringing this to the cleaners. So it's a communication on multiple levels. I don't do it formally unless I have to. I mean, we do have formal monthly meetings and staff meetings and our safety meetings, but it's more of an unorthodox, kind of a looser fit. I have an open door policy. Teachers, staff, anybody come in anytime. Everyone has my cell phone. I'm accessible 24/7, and I think that's important. I mean, it makes everybody feel safe. They know that I have their back. They know that my guys are here, and that's the direction I want to kind of instill on everybody. We're all in this together.
Yeah, I think that's really nice to hear, because sometimes people get afraid or are afraid to like voice their opinions, but to have someone so accessible, or just like to have those weekly meetings, I think they're really helpful in helping people gain their voice a little bit, especially if they're newer.
I like to find out personal things about people. They're much more willing to talk to you if you can meet them on a personal level. How's their family? What's their interest? And I have 70 folks that work for me, and it breaks that ice and makes them not fearful to talk to you.
Right. The communication has to be key on multiple levels. I mean, be it personal, be it business, be it this, and knowing that balance to get things to happen,
Right. So I talk to a lot of women in FM, and that's a big thing that they always talk about, is that women want to get to know their staff on a personal level to break that ice so that they feel more comfortable. I know there's a little bit of that stigma with men that you guys don't want to talk about feelings or get to know each other. You're laughing, Steve. You know about it. Do you want to talk about it?
I have a female boss. I have female folks who are working for me. I get it. But we as the males have to understand that this industry and what's going on, you've got to be able to be open and honest about everything. It's just building that relationship.
Yeah.
See, one of the big things that I've always struggled with is everybody puts titles on things, be it black, be it white, be it female, be it male. We're all humans. We're all here to do something. And I don't look at that as barriers. You know what I mean? People are people, and that's as far as it goes in my mind. So if you're female or male, Christ, you could be a Martian for all I care. We're all put on this planet to do something. So let's all get it done. That's how I feel.
Agreed.
Completely agree with that. So we just got a question in, and it's specifically for Chris. But John asked if I'm sorry, suddenly I forgot how to read. But John said, I'm interested in learning about the system you use for daily, monthly, and yearly inspections. Currently, our technicians rely on paper-based methods, but I am exploring the possibility of more efficient electronic alternatives. Chris, do you have a suggestion for him?
Well, in New Jersey, with anybody with a building over 30,000 square feet, it's mandatory to have some type of automated system. I mean, we've started out with School Dude, which is our work order and PM systems, which now is bought by, I think it's Brightly Systems. There's FacilitiesNet, there's Our School. There's a bunch of different ones you should really check into. because each one has a little bit more of a niche that could meet your needs. Like I have a huge athletic program, so I was kind of dictated by which software package I can go to. So it imports into my current scheduling program. So I was kind of limited, but I picked the one that worked for us. I mean, in another 2 years, we may be changing to try and merge everything, but my thought is I don't like to have all my eggs in one basket. I like my work orders, my PMs to be in one. I like my scheduling to be in another one. That way, God forbid, something crashes or somebody goes out of business, I'm not totally SOL, you know?
And then Leo, I know that you work for a college campus. Do you have any suggestions too? I know it's kind of different, but
Yeah, so we transitioned a few years ago to FM systems. Prior to that, we had a system that was really developed internally, but we could no longer continue to support that. So we transitioned to FM systems, and that's worked great for us. We have our planning function that maintains all its records out of FM systems. We have our maintenance function with work orders that are maintained through FM systems. And we're now working on the module around project management to help support projects. So that's worked well for us. We still have, I know the question mentioned inspections. So here in Florida, we're also required colleges to have annual what's called SREF inspections, which is basically verification that we meet state requirements for our facilities. And that's usually third-party inspectors that come out to our campuses and walk them and evaluate how everything is doing. And when we do something very specific like that, then we may pull data out of FM systems and operate on some type of shared spreadsheet, for example, where folks can track and monitor various items that have been identified, or if we're doing our own inspections ahead of those third-party ones, then we use that to track how are we doing in completing those things in preparation for the third-party inspections. And I think one of the things we learned in getting away from a paper system is to try to have something where it's accessible to all the stakeholders involved. And usually that's not just the facilities team, but also the administrators on the campuses, so that they can also not only see what are the issues and how they're being addressed, but sometimes there are things that they also need to help with. And that way they have access to that information.
we actually got a suggestion from one of the viewers, and Timothy says if people are looking for software, check out free online comparison services like Capterra, G2. That's how he was able to find his CMMS, and the comparisons and free trials were very helpful. You all nodded your head like, oh yes, that is a good idea to do. Free trials are an option. Just make sure to cancel them if you don't like them, or else you'll get charged. But Chris, I know that you mentioned a little bit about cross-training across your staff. Safa, I'm so sorry if I pronounced it wrong, asked, what is the structure of your team? What are the services your department offers within facilities management?
Well, like I said, we have a 400,000 square foot building. I have steam boilers, I have chillers, I have hot water boilers, I have univents, I have BCUs, fan coils, you name it, I've got it as far as equipment comes. So I've got a plethora of everything. I mean, we've got needlepoint ionization now in all of our units, which is air purification. So to answer your question, I have 2 of my staff designated as HVAC, 2 of my staff is carpenters, painters. My other guys are kind of all around mechanics. But like I said, when it comes to, I have safety procedures and I have standard operating procedures. So first person in the morning comes in, we turn the lights on, we check the building, we check our boilers if they're on, and we just have procedures. So if that person doesn't show up that morning, the second person in it does what the first person's supposed to do. So it just kind of feeds itself. I mean, my guys all communicate, hey, I'm taking a day off, I'm taking this. So the other guy knows what we need to do on our basics. Once we get our basics done out of the way in the morning, then my guys disperse onto, okay, let's take the emergencies. Let's rate emergencies 1 through 5. We take our worst one, then we work our way down, and we kind of work it out that way. Like I said, I'm not the most orthodox guy in the world, but somehow we get stuff done. I mean, and a lot of times I'll take on more work. We did a music lab in-house, which was nice. It was a nice project for the guys. It's this fake stone. It's a new product nobody's ever used, and my guys never did it. all right, guys, this is what we're going to do, guys. We're going to rip the walls out. We're going to do this. We're going to put this up and rewire. And it was a nice project. And I kind of surprised them with that once in a while. We just redid our gymnasium, our one weight room, I should say. And it was a flooring project. It was another wall stone project. It was a painting project. So I like to keep my guys involved, spice things up, throw curveballs at them once in a while. And that's how we kind of do it. So everybody, when it comes to the cross training things, I know my staff's weaknesses, and each one of my staff knows the other guy's weaknesses too. But by knowing that, we could build it as a positive and turn us into a really heavy duty workforce. You know what I mean? Some guys are great with saws, other guys are great with hammer drills, other guys are great painting. And well, let me show you how I do it. Let me show you how this. And we just develop as a cohesive team. That's the key, getting everybody to work together and learning everybody's weaknesses and strengths, and then you just go for it. I mean, it just all melds together, which has worked for me.
What do you think, Steve? You look like you have something going on.
Going back to the trades, is that what you're asking? I'm sorry. So which question, McKenna?
It was
The trade one?
just
was a
like
cross-reference
structure
thing.
of your
Cross-reference?
team.
Yeah. So as a hospital, I have staffing here 24/7. So I have general maintenance folks who take care of lead issues, and then I have technical trades who come in when they can't do it. So I've got 22 mechanics, maintenance mechanics who take care of a facility, and then I've got plumbers, electricians, licensed folks if they can't handle it. But cross training is critical, especially for those generalists, to be able to handle anything that comes across. 2 a.m, I don't know what's going to happen, but I have 752 patients I've got to worry about to make sure that I don't lose any utilities or infrastructure to support them. So training is always a constant challenge, and keeping them aware of what's going on in a facility that's always changing. That's right. That's kind of where I go with the kind of asking John's question. I think it depends on your facility. A hospital is different than a elementary school, or is different than a commercial entity. It depends on your facility, on what kind of trades you have and how you cross train them and your staffing levels.
Mm-hmm. Leo, is there anything else that you would like to add to that?
Just ditto what the guy said. I think cross training is important. We do that with our teams. Just like Steve said, we also have folks at all different levels of experience that they come with. And I think it's important for them to not only know their own trade, but other trades as well, to have some general knowledge of everything that we all do together. Because at the end, it takes the whole team to pull this work together. So knowing what someone else does is also important.
Mm-hmm. So all three of you mentioned your budget and how you're working within your budget. Cody asked, how do your organizations approach life cycle planning for mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems to assist with budget forecasting?
There's different tools out there that forecast when equipment needs to be considered for replacement. So there's capital improvement projects that are always being developed. Fortunately, I'm a relatively new hospital, having been built 10 years ago. I haven't had to go through the major stuff, but Chris's high school's probably got much older equipment that he's looking at replacement all the time. But you have to consider what industry standards are. You've got to consider your own maintenance records and how well you maintain it. And then you've got to get in front of the C-suite early enough to say, this is coming up and it's going to have an impact, but we have to do it.
We do long range facility plans here, which helps us. We go 5, 10, 15, 20 years out. So, and like Steve said, it depends on how well you maintain your equipment, and it depends on the environmental conditions too. So me as a director, we know when the stuff's coming up and when it's due. Does that mean it doesn't crap out before its lifespan? No. Then we just kind of move it up on the list. So we do focus. I mean, at least my department, we focus on, as a group, what we want to replace, when we want to replace it, and then we plan and budget for it. Like this year, we wanted to do 10 rooftops. Well, it could get 9 of them. Okay, so next year we're going to plan on doing that other one. So it's a shell game. I mean, just trying to properly budget, and the prices up here are crazy. What we could have gotten 3 years ago is now triple.
Yeah, so we use a combination of our experts in-house and also outside experts. Our in-house team know our facilities better than anyone else, and so they're constantly looking at what the needs are and maintaining a database with those needs. We also do a facilities assessment. We do that about every 5 years. We're almost due for our next one. We do have a 5-year plan, and that facilities assessment helps us in identifying the needs over the next 5 years. And we go through an annual CIP process that's also required by the state, where we update our plans annually and identify the issues that we believe need to come forward to be addressed for that year based on available funding. So those are some of the things that we do.
So, how do you see the future of facilities management evolving in the coming years? And what trends or changes do you anticipate seeing?
I think technology is going to drive a lot of the changes in the future. I see one of the questions in the chat about AI. I don't know how AI is going to impact facilities of the future, but the technology is always going to keep changing with what information you can get out of the systems that you're managing, whether it be that boiler, that chiller, that air handler, how integrated it is, how much fault detection you can get out of it to be able to be predictive in your maintenance. But I think technology changes is going to be driven from the manufacturers and hit the facility industry, and you're going to have to figure out how to get the labor who can manage those technologies and the integration.
Yeah, so what I'll add is facilities typically support a core function of an organization. It's rare that the maintenance or construction of a facility is the core function itself. So this means a few things for us in facilities. One is understanding the core function of the organization, where it is going, and then what do we need to do to support that core function. And that way we can be as far ahead as possible and ready to support those needs. The other thing to remember is that facilities management and construction are usually not equated to being lightning fast activities. Between procurement, planning, design, permitting, construction on typical projects, all that takes time to accomplish. And then if you add projects with asbestos abatement, contaminated soils, historical preservation components to the rest of the world, it starts to feel like facilities management has a turtle running the race. So we just have to recognize that. Technology does continue to increase the rate of change in most, if not all, industries. So we also need to continue to explore ways to improve speed of service delivery without compromising quality. And technology, I agree, will continue to change our business. And so one consequence is the need to continuously train and develop our staff as building systems continue to evolve. And remember that the best investment you can make in your facilities is in the people that care for, maintain, and build your facilities.
I think Steve and Leo nailed it. You're only as good as your people. Technologies is always going to be there. I think the biggest thing is employee retention and training your staff, a good staff. I mean, you can have all the technology in the world. You don't have a person behind that understands that you've got nothing. So those guys nailed it. Perfect.
You know, at FMT this year, I got into a healthy debate with someone about AI. And so Tracy did ask, how do the three of you feel about AI getting involved in the facilities realm? And are you using anything like it?
Yeah, so I'm personally excited about AI getting more involved in the facilities realm. Here at the college, we've had AI and high-tech technology be a real focus for us on the academic side. We've started various AI programs, some of the first in the state here in Florida. And so from a facility standpoint, we've had to come in and develop the spaces for that kind of training for students. So while we've been learning ourselves as we've been developing these spaces, what AI means, we've also had conversations internally about how that may change our service delivery and what we need to start getting ready for. So one of the things we're doing this year is we're piloting some AI implementation in our building systems. And part of that really is first a discovery of what we already have that falls under that AI heading, because a lot of things can fall underneath that. And sometimes in our facilities, we already have these sensors, for example, in place in our systems. And it's just a matter of identifying, are we really leveraging those sensors and the data we're getting to its best possible use? And so that's one, is identify where you already have that. And then where you don't, then where could you be adding things like sensors to provide you data that could help with better decision management from a management standpoint, but also from a trade standpoint, so that we can focus on the right things.
I agree with Leo. At a high school, we embraced a couple of the AI programs for the students. We also have counter AI programs for the students, because students are writing their paper on AI instead of actually learning. As far as facilities, we've been using some of the software. It's almost like a library book. It's another resource for us to pull on to make us a little bit more efficient, to make us a little bit more aware of things. Just we're proceeding with caution, but we're moving in that direction. I mean, every little bit helps.
Yeah, and
And I'll just add, I'm sorry, McKenna, I was just going to
go
add,
ahead.
I think it's important as FM leaders with AI, sometimes people who maybe have heard that for the first time, it can be a little intimidating. Or what does this mean to me? What does this mean to my job? And so I think it's important to also, as leaders, to help people understand what it means and how this is a tool that can really help us all to better do our job, and to help people come along with us as we go on this journey into the future. That no one has a crystal ball, but we need to try to help our folks to get comfortable with what's coming.
Mhm.
I agree.
Michael also asked if any of you are implementing BIM or digital twins, and if so, is your staff trained on it, and what are some requirements you may have?
I've used BIM on our last several buildings. It's effective in the construction, but I do struggle with applying it to the day-to-day maintenance side of things. BIM is really good for being able to see what's above the ceiling and seeing how that architecture is put in. But there's also some limitations to BIM depending on how granular you get with the modeling itself. So I think BIM's effective as a tool in construction, but I'm struggling personally with how to employ it in day-to-day maintenance stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And for those who don't know, BIM is building information modeling. It's basically 3D dimensioning of what's in your building.
Yeah, so BIM is something that we now require on all of our projects. It's in our contracts with our vendors. That's how we expect the information to be provided to us, and that's how we maintain it within our own system. And we utilize a combination of in-house staff and outside vendors to help us with continuing to maintain that data.
We have an architect of record here, which we also do require that. I'm kind of old school. I love computers and I hate computers. I mean, the best way to fix one is with a hammer. I'd rather get up in the ceilings and crawl around. I mean, it's just the kind of way I am. I'm curious that way. So once again, computers is another library, but BIM is another access of how to do it. But until you get your eyes on something, I mean, we've done cores and probes just to verify stuff. It's just, I'm cautious on safety. And like I said, I'm old school. Computers, they're a fantastic tool. AI, another tool. But I'm kind of dirt level, ground level. Let's see what's behind that wall. I want to put my eyes on it.
I think the AI and BIM will merge in time, by the way.
It will.
AI will have a big impact into the design of buildings. So I'm curious to see how that evolves over time.
And it's funny. You show somebody a set of blueprints, and they don't know what they're looking at. You show them a 3-dimensional drawing, and you could actually walk them through the space. It's like, oh wow, you just took that meeting and shrunk it from 3 hours down to half an hour, because it gave them more of a touchy feeling,
How do you get your staff to be excited and accepting of technology? Leo, since you were the most excited about AI.
Yeah, so I think one is to provide them opportunities to learn about what all this means. And I think here at the college, we've done a really good job with that, where we have various webinars and live sessions where we've brought in experts across the country in AI and in the high-tech industry to present on AI and the industry that they're in, both folks who teach this for a living and also individuals who are in private industry. And that's something that's open and available not only to the public, but also to our staff. And if they can't attend live, it's also made available online through presentations like this, through Zoom or Teams, so that they can access it from their campus without having to go to one campus to see it if that's not possible. So I think that's one, is affording those kind of opportunities, and also encouraging staff, I think, is important to become involved. And so we have established minimum training hours that we require of our staff annually. We've increased that over the last couple of years. And part of that really is to communicate to our team that this is something that we want them to be able to do. We don't want them to feel like management feels like they're taking time out of their job to do something that we don't approve. We want them to know, no, we're supportive of training, of professional development, and we want you to find this time to be able to learn more about these things. And then lastly, I'll say, is getting them involved as you're doing the work itself. And so even though we've brought in an outside consultant to help us on this pilot that we're doing, our staff is also involved in that work with that consultant and providing input and feedback as those plans are being developed.
Steve, you seem a little neutral about this topic.
The millennial generation will gravitate towards the technology all day long. My challenge is with, well, I call them the seasoned employees.
I agree with Steve.
Who struggle mightily with the new technologies, and who just work orders about as far as they really want to go and answering an email. So it is when you have folks, I have one that's 23 and I have one that's 82, and there's a huge divide in technology and skill levels with the future. So it's a challenge, but it's the way of the future of technology. So we keep embracing it by putting in as many mobile devices as we can, putting that technology in people's hands, and then challenging them to make the best of it.
I agree with Steve. I have the same gamma. I've got my young guys and my old guys, and my old guys like dials and switches. My young guys like computers and solenoids and all that other stuff. But it's kind of a weird mix. How it's structured here is because the old guys teach the young guys, and the young guys teach the old guys, and it kind of blends pretty good, you know?
Yep. And the old guys know exactly where that valve is. It's going to save you in the middle of the night.
Yep, and you can't shut that off with a computer.
That's
but
right.
My guy will put it on a computer CAD plan, so everybody knows where that valve is.
Yeah,
which is helpful.
That is a good blend.
So I love that you organically mentioned generational differences, because I wasn't going to point it out. That seems a little rude sometimes. But I do the same thing with my colleagues. Hey, Dave. Nice to see you. But Scott asked, assuming you have challenges finding good candidates to hire, like all of us in our current climate, what things have you done to attract qualified candidates, especially for custodial positions?
Don't manage custodial. I'm going to have to pass that one, I think, over to Chris, who I think has some of those staff members.
I'll tell you, 5-6 years ago, you posted a position, you got 20, 30 applicants. I don't know where the workforce went. I have a evening position open and a few custodial positions open. I've gotten maybe 4 or 5 applicants, all of which are not really qualified. So to try and find the staffing market, it's tough. I mean, we do an individual, standard posting, and we interview and see what we can and can't expect out of the future of these people. So it's just, I don't know where the workforce went. It's tough to find good people. I mean, I talk about it in my B&G group. We all share. It's just tough. It's tough to get people. End of story. And we've kind of been making do with what we have, but it's starting to get kind of scary.
We've got to do something with the trade organizations, the community college, to develop those skill sets that we need. Plumbers, electricians, carpenters, they're getting harder and harder to find, and the construction industry gobbles them up and gives them much higher pay salaries with overtime. I'm a state entity like Leo is. I can try to recruit folks off of benefits, but definitely the corporate side of things can pay better than we typically can. A lot of candidates I get now, though, are actually word of mouth. People have somebody here that likes working in this environment and likes the leadership we have here. And so I get a lot of folks who transition over just because they hear good things about our organization. So word of mouth also helps.
Yeah, we were very fortunate this year in that we received a grant as a college to start an apprenticeship program. And normally, we've had apprenticeship programs in the past as a college. And a lot of times the students will go and do their apprenticeship with some outside entity. In this case, we said, facilities, we want to be involved with that. We don't want the students to have to go elsewhere. We want them to come work with us within our department. And so we've established a program where they have classroom instruction for part of the day. And then for part of the day, they're embedded with some of our senior trade members as they learn that industry. And at the end, they're going to receive a certification, which they can then decide whether they continue their education, whether they decide to go work in industry, or we're hoping some of them decide to stay with us as well. But while they're in the program, they are considered employees of the college as well, and they do get paid for their time, which we believe is the right thing to do because it allows them to focus really on what they're wanting to learn and trying to learn and not have to have another job on top of that takes time away from their studies. So that program's working really well for us, and I would encourage others who are having those challenges to look at apprenticeship programs and maybe reach out to your local colleges and see how you can help develop something with them if they don't already have something.
We have a great article going live on FacilitiesNet tomorrow, so viewers, make sure to subscribe to our newsletter to read it. But it's about how people are working to hire high schoolers to work within the education facility. Chris, is that something that you have ever considered?
We do have a summer program for the students that work here. It's only for the students that work here, which actually works out pretty well. It's both in buildings and grounds and both in our performing arts center. We've got a pretty heavy duty performing arts center with rigging and lighting and all that stuff. But we do offer to as many students that, are interested. Our pay is okay, I guess. We have a pretty good turnout with it, and I find year after year, the kids kind of come back. I mean, once again, it's a comfortable layout that we do, and you got to find the right student to put them with the right guy. I mean, I put one student with one of my painters, and they almost painted the entire building. It was phenomenal. So it's a good program, and I agree with everyone on here. The apprenticeship programs are something that's lost. Years ago, we used to have shops here. The only shop we have left in high school is our wood shop. Now we send everything to the VOTEC, which I think is a problem. I mean, we need more journeyman programs. We need more apprenticeship programs. That's what's going to help bring back tradespeoples.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about more schools adding facilities management degrees? Would you rather them get a degree or just go straight to the field?
I think it needs to be a combination of both. I think you need field knowledge and then schooling as well, because without experience and without making mistakes, you're never really going to be on top of your game.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think you need to have both the field knowledge and also the education. That's why I really do like apprenticeship programs and internships. Someone mentioned interns. I've done that in the past as well, having interns, and I started in this industry as an intern. And so I very much am a proponent for that. I think that allows exposure into the industry. It allows you to not only see the work, but also talk to people who are doing it to learn from what they've learned, and also receive classroom instruction that I think is also very beneficial to have in the industry.
Many of the leaders in facilities come out of the trades and then work their way into leadership roles. I wish there was more emphasis at the junior college level for some type of like an associate's degree in facilities management, facilities leadership, so that you could marry the two of the technical trade side as well as how to manage budgets and people and leadership and those kind of things that can be taught at a junior college level.
Sometimes what, Steve, if I could just jump on that comment you reminded me, sometimes what we find is when we talk to particularly private industry, they sometimes have their own programs that they've implemented out of necessity. And through conversations with them, sometimes what we learn is that that's either a program that we already offer, or it's something that we could offer at a much lower cost and meet that need not only for that employer, but for other employers. So again, just would encourage folks, if you're having those challenges, reach out to your local colleges. They may already have something that can help you. And if not, bring those things to them and you can work with them to develop those kinds of programs to meet not only your needs, but the industry as well. Yeah, I think you'll find most of them are receptive to that.
Valerie in our chat said that she found her last 3 employees through an employment agency, and that for her, it was worth paying them the minimum to hire to get a good person. So that is also an option, but we got lots of people agreeing that like internships are the best way, and that we also need to support organizations that support the development of new talent. But I think given all the facilities that the 3 of you work on, we very much focus on safety and security for that. And Cody asked, what safety and security protocols do you have in place at your facilities? And how do you manage keyless access systems?
All right, I'll take that one first.
Thank you.
After all these incidents that's happened in Jersey and around the world, we changed our key system to a 1 key system. That means we have the Schlage system. So in my key system, I can give somebody a B key, a GM key, and a GGM key. The GGM key is like the master key, gets you in everywhere. The other one only gets you in so many, and the B key gets you in wherever. So this summer, we're going to be implementing the rest of it, where we have our 2 safety boxes, which the SRO officer is in charge of. So in case a SWAT team does have to come, there'll be maps and keys that won't be able to get them in anywhere in our building. As far as our access system, we have swipe cards. We have 62 door entrances into the building. We have 27 swipe cards. Certain people have certain access times to that. Teachers, it's between 7 and 5:30. Custodians, a different time frame and another different time frame. Those same doors are automated locks that open and close at a certain time frame. We did institute a lockdown procedure with lighting and automated sounds, which can notify the parents, the press, anybody else we want to do. We've done pretty much everything we could do to keep kids safe. I mean, you can never plan for 100% of everything, but I mean, we try and stay up on that. We have monthly security drills, monthly fire drills, monthly safety drills for the students and staff. I mean, it's kind of tough being a high school. I mean, you got parents dropping stuff off, picking stuff up, people, public school, and, keeping people off our fields when, hey, you're not allowed on here when kids are present. You can come here after hours. And so it's a little bit different, but as far as the key system and a lockdown, it's been working pretty well.
Yeah, so for us, safety and security is always at the top of the list also in everything that we do. We've been trying to get away from keys to the greatest extent possible, going to the swipe cards. And that, I can tell you, has worked a lot better. It's not like in the past where you lost a key and now you have to replace all the locks or try to figure out how to get that key back. Now we just deactivate a card and that's it. Problem is solved. So, but we have a 5-year plan we've been working on when it comes to safety and security at all of our campuses. Things like security cameras, updating and enhancing those systems, our swipe systems, again, getting rid of the key systems to go more swipe or electronic digital locks. We've also been looking at where communication, so if there's a emergency on a campus where maybe the communication isn't as effective, where you can't hear it. So for example, in parking lots, sometimes if you have an emergency and if you don't have speaker systems that get out there, it can be hard to hear whatever's being announced. So we've been adding those kinds of systems on our campuses to make it easy, no matter where you are on our campuses, which some of them are pretty large, to be able to hear whatever it is that's being announced, that the emergency that's occurring. We obviously look at our emergency management protocols on an annual basis. It's also part of our onboarding that we follow, that our emergency management office does whenever someone joins the college. And they offer training throughout the year on various topics around safety and security for staff to be able to attend and continue to stay up to date on.
Mhm.
The only thing I would add is we actually are using apps now. And so we have an app that allow people to get a virtual escort through an app. So there are a lot of different things that the police departments are doing these days.
Well, friends, we are running very short on time, and we have a lot of very, very good questions that we're not going to be able to get to answer. But where are you reachable? Are you guys on LinkedIn? Can the viewers email you if they have any additional questions?
Email. I love email.
I'm on LinkedIn and email as well. I'll answer anything.
Yeah, same here. You'll find me on LinkedIn, and email is fine too. I know there's some questions I see that we don't have time to get to, but if I can help with any of that, please send me an email or send me a note on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to help.
Dave McKenna, will you allow our emails to be released to the group?
Yeah, if you guys want them released to us, we can release
I'm fine
them
with that.
after to
Absolutely.
to the registrants. And yeah, on my behalf, first off, thanks to you guys for presenting, and McKenna for doing a great job. Just listening to the exchange here, got a lot of great story ideas that hopefully we can expand on a little further and share with our readers and share your experiences. And to everybody who joined, thanks again for joining us. We had a really great turnout, more questions than I think I've ever seen on one of these. So sorry to steal the thunder, but hand it back to McKenna here to wrap it up.
No questions. I just want to echo Dave's statement. Thank you all for being such active participants. We love to see that. But this is a webcast honoring our facilities champions. So I just have one last question for them. Now, what does it mean to you to be selected as a facility champion?
Appreciation, really. It's a group effort from everybody that I work with, and so someone recognized something that I've been doing, but really it's my entire team. So I appreciate the recognition because it's a group award in my opinion.
Yeah, I would ditto that. This work is a team effort, and so this is a recognition of the incredible job that my team does every day in supporting our students, faculty, staff, and guests. They are the behind-the-scenes professionals who set the stage every day for student success. So thank you for honoring my team with this recognition.
I agree with both Leo and Steve. It's a group award. I mean, you're only as good as your people, and you can only go as far as they're going to go with you. So it's a nice honor, especially coming from New Jersey, which is kind of a rough one. But I appreciate it. It's really cool.
All right. Thank you guys. Congratulations. It was nice being able to talk with you. Viewers, please give them a silent round of applause. They definitely deserve it. But Chris, Leo, Steve, thank you so much for being here. Everybody, thank you for being here. It was great getting to talk to you guys.
Great job, McKenna.
Thank you, McKenna.
Thank you, Dave.
Thank you. Have a great rest of your day. Stay safe, everyone.